So I did a good bit of rambling in this one, but every place that I rambled to in my mind, I dug into little rabbit holes and spent a nice little chunk of time in each pocket of my brain that I rambled into. So I hope that maybe you guys can learn a little bit more about who I am through this episode. But just know that I do get a little rambly in parts, and I can't help it. That's just how I am and what I am. So hope you guys can, like I said, get a little bit more of who I am out of this episode. I will say I think I say this in the beginning of the episode, but please like this video. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we drop new videos, much like this one. And if you are listening to the podcast, please follow everywhere podcasts are available, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave reviews on Apple Podcasts and anywhere that you get your podcast. Please leave reviews. Please just keep downloading them. And this is really helping me out in the algorithm. So trying to keep this ball rolling. And if you guys would like to contribute monetarily in any way, there's a link in the description that for tips. There's a tip link. So please utilize that. Even if we're not live, those things help out a lot. And the top link in the description it's much cheaper. They do 3% cut on the payouts, and I get a payout immediately from them versus the YouTube Super Chats, which takes 30%, and I have to wait until I reach a threshold before the payout is processed. So yeah, please use the tip link in the description to do that if you guys want to help out the channel at all. We're gearing towards new camera. I've been trying to do that for I don't know how long, but just certain things have prevented me from being able to, and I'm really trying to prevent that from becoming a regular thing. So here we are. That being said, thank you guys so much for being here, and welcome to episode 3. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Good Lord. It's great to be here. Hope you all are doing well. I'm going to start this by reminding you all to please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell on the YouTube. And if you'd like to become a member on the YouTube or a member of the Patreon, you get access to a lot of exclusive videos that I don't share anywhere else. And for audio, please follow the podcast, download the podcasts, leave a review. I don't care what the review says or if you dislike or like. I just want a review there. Like, doesn't matter what you do or say. Just drop a review on us if you don't mind. It doesn't take that much time, and it really helps me out a lot. Same with the liking and subscribing. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it really helps me out a lot. And liking the videos, leaving comments in the videos are the same with the audio podcast. All of this stuff really costs nothing but a little bit of time, and it really helps me out a lot because we're trying to get this thing rolling. Anyhow, yeah, so I have found myself this week, I've really been trying to become a little more introspective, I guess is a decent enough word. I've really been trying to weigh how my actions are affecting other people, or take into account that some of the things that I do may have negative effect on other people, and I never want that to be the case. But I just last week I've been going. It's actually been a culmination of a bunch of things that have been building up over the last few months, and everything came to a head this past week, and elephants in the room were addressed, and it was necessary. But I realized in all of this that I should really remember how I am viewed, and I should take into account that my words carry weight, and that that it might affect the way other people feel and the way that they treat other people. So I really got to do better about keeping that reality in mind. So that's what I've been focusing on lately, is just, I don't know, realizing that my experience doesn't always have to spill into other people's, if that makes any sense. But I mean, there's not really been there's only been a couple of changes, but I can only control that which I'm in control of. So I'm just going to start controlling those things that I am in control of better. And if any of you feel like you were in that situation, I challenge you to consider the same for yourself, because it gives you a sense of like taking the power back in a way of like, once you give away something in your mind to a problem, then that problem carries the power. And you are not your problems. Your problems are just a thing that you go through, and how you react to your problems is who you are. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm just trying to find a better way to react to my problems. And I know this is all very vague. We're not even 5 minutes in yet, and I got you wondering what I'm talking about. And I don't really want to, just for professional reasons, I can't exactly go into exactly what I'm talking about. But if you check out the last episode, you'll probably be able to piece together a little bit of something that I'm talking about. So I don't want to go in full detail because, well, if you knew, you'd understand. But since you don't, I know you're confused, and for that I apologize. But anyway, I did get to do a little stand-up comedy this weekend. I did a spot yesterday, and it went all right. The crowd was really tight, and I'm not blaming anything on the crowd, but like, they were tight. I got up there, and pretty much every joke got a response from somebody, got laughs from somewhere in the crowd. But I only got like the whole crowd like right at the end of my set. Like the last minute of my set was great. Like if the whole set would have went like that minute went, it would have been, it would have, I don't know, it just would have, people would have been coming up saying, man. But instead, I just finished really strong, which I guess is, if you have to choose one, that's what you'd want to choose, I guess, is to finish strong. And I did that. I listened to it last night, and it was, I just, right on up until the end, I had them, man. Like, I mean, just right there. And, yeah, but they were still tight. But it was fun, and I was glad that I got to go up. I still would like to go up, I'd like to go up more, but I mean, like, there's only so many shows that are at Sunset, so I need to start going other places. I usually turn down things because I'm working, but I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to stop turning down things, and I'll just say yes and then deal with it later. I'll say yes, and we'll figure it out. Like we'll figure out the work thing, because that's the goal, is to get better at comedy. Also the goal forgot to introduce you guys. For those of you who do not know, this right here, this is Frankie. Frankie here was my tip jar that hung off of the end of my microphone stand in Myrtle Beach for 11 years. And he collected a lot of money for our band and for me at my solo gigs, and just pretty much he was always on stage with me. It was a fixture. People around the town knew him, and I brought him out here to just represent the ability to, if you'd like to help the channel at all, drop a tip on us. And there's a link in the description to it just says tip link in the description, so you can go check that out if you'd like to help out a little bit monetarily. Didn't mean to drop a little plug in here in the middle of all that nonsense, but going back to a little bit of talking about trying to be aware of my influence, I think, because it is starting to, I think, affect other people in a way that maybe doesn't benefit everyone, but it certainly benefits I personally believe that it certainly affects the people that it's been affecting directly, because it's starting to shed light on things that they may have not thought about, or things that may not have occurred to them. So in airing out my own problems, I think airing out my own problems publicly to so many people kind of made them realize, oh, I have that problem too. Like that's an issue that I also have. So then it's like, okay, well, you are responsible for this. You're responsible for people feeling this way, and that is starting to affect other parts of these relationships that we all have. And I know that I can't like go any further, but because I am who I am, I kind of have to talk about these things because that's what I am and what I do. But I have to talk about these things here, because if I don't, this is my way of leaving things where they lie. But in last week's episode, when I was talking about the, working the garden, tilling the land, watering the produce, but not getting to enjoy any of the produce, that's a real thing. And that has been going on for quite some time. And maybe I should have taken it up. Maybe I should have taken it all the way up, but I didn't feel like I needed to. I felt like my argument had already been presented, and I felt like that I was validated in feeling the way that I felt. And I just feel like I had already said all that I needed to say to those who should hear it. And I feel like I had already said all I needed to say to those who should hear it, and nothing was changing. So then I just started talking to other people. But in my defense, and that's never a good thing to do. It's never a good thing to air out other issues with other people to anyone other than that person. But in my defense, man, like I waited so long. I waited so long to bring it up, and it was only till other people started complaining to me about the same exact issue till I said kind of, hey, I hear you complaining, but you're getting a lot more produce than I'm getting, buddy, and I'm out here. So that's that. But I don't know. I was happy I got to go up on Saturday, and I made the best of my spot. I went up there and I held my own. I got laughs throughout. There was one but there was one spot that didn't do well. But what can you do? The crowd was already giving absolutely nothing to the first comic. They were giving absolutely nothing to the comic after me, pretty much. They were just very, very tight. But, I mean, it's going to be like that until I get on stage more and get more comfortable and start doing better and start having better sets and start getting to the where I'm comfortable with no matter how the crowd is, I need to get more comfortable with being up there and making them laugh. Because I think if I'm comfortable up there and I'm having fun, they're going to be having fun and they're going to be comfortable. And if they're uncomfortable, they're not going to want to laugh. So if I'm uncomfortable, that's going to spill into their view of me, which we don't want. But yeah, I've been trying new stuff. I've been starting to talk about my family a little more, because that's the thing in comedy. Like, you're supposed to do things that are unique to you, and only I have my family. And there are things that are specific to my family that no one else has. No one else has. So I'm really trying to capitalize on those things and try to talk about that more, so that I'm not just kind of regurgitating opinions that other comics or other people have had already. I don't want to be that. I don't want to just be like, oh, we've already heard this joke before. I heard this other comedian do that. And like, not even talking about like joke stealing or whatever. It's just like sometimes you come up with a premise that's already been done. The world has been around a long time. It's kind of hard to come up with complete original thoughts. So you just have to hope for the best when you come up with something, and then somebody will come up to you and say, hey, I've heard somebody else do that before, and how long have you been doing it? So they'll try to do the math on, well, who came up with this first? Who has the rights to it? Who can? And for the most part, for a lot of my material, I really try to pull it from things that I've, like, experiences that I've had that maybe other people have also had, but like, I try to personalize these things as much as possible to prevent anyone ever thinking, oh, he stole that. Because I don't hear someone's joke and be like, well, how can I spin? I don't have a joke about this thing. How can I spin this? And I know a lot of comics will do that. And I was having a conversation yesterday with my boy Grant Adcock, who is an incredible comedian. He is so fucking funny, man. You guys gotta keep an eye out there for Grant Adcock. You'll be seeing him come around. He's gonna be a name. But we were talking about all of these open micers, or somebody who gets into comedy who's like, they've never been funny. They never were the ones in their group of friends that were making everybody laugh, or everybody. A lot of comedians, class clown. All of your friends would always say, "Hey, you should be a comedian. You'd be really funny." But yeah, like, a lot of people will say stuff like that growing up to these people, and they become comedians. But I've noticed that some of these open micers that come around, and this is going to sound like a dig at specific people, and it's not. It's literally just the collective, it's the collective machine of it. I think that going to too many open mics is a thing. And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if you do too much and you're around, because the open mic circuit, especially in Austin, it's a lot of the same names. Like, you're going to see pretty much all the same faces. You're going to hear a lot of the same jokes. and you're pretty much, everybody in the room is just waiting for their turn to go up. So they're not really paying attention to you or trying to laugh at you. They're just kind of there waiting for their turn to go on. And that's an annoying thing to have to navigate, because I want to go up and say these things and see if they get a response. And if they do, I know it's going to work. And if they don't, then we know it might not. But that doesn't work at an open mic because the things that will happen is, at an open mic, comedians who are friends with the comic on stage are going to overly laugh at things that aren't funny. And that's going to inflate someone's ego. And then they're going to be going on other places and saying the same thing that their inside joke friends laughed at, but they won't work. So it's almost like what Mitzi says. Mitzi said, never reward mediocrity. And that's a lot of what's happening. And not to be a dick or whatever. Like, there's a lot of guys who come through and have a really funny joke at an open mic. And, like, they people that actually do well. But there's some guys that do these open mics, and I don't mean to be a cunt out here talking shit about, like, punching down to open micers, because I've been doing it for a minute. But there's open micers out there that have been doing comedy longer than I have. And, man, I see them, you see them, and it just doesn't seem to be getting better. And nothing seems to be changing. It's just the same jokes getting the same response, and it's almost like, okay, well, I got to go tell these same jokes at the next spot now so that I can, put my face out there so I can show people, hey, I want to get booked. And some of these people are getting booked. I don't know. And I know this is good. This is me being really cunty saying all this stuff, and I've come to terms with the fact that I'm just a cunt. And underneath it all, like, everybody sees me as a nice guy in real life, and I believe that I am, but I also believe I'm a giant cunt, and that's just the truth. There's no denying it. And I'm not really ashamed, to be honest, because I am myself, and I'm not anybody else, and I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm just me. So I shouldn't really. I don't think anyone should ever have to apologize for being exactly who they are. Like, even if that person is a shitty person, I have a lot of friends that are shitty people. But that's exactly who they are. They're not trying to fake. They're not trying to be fake. They're not trying to be fake shitty. That's just who they are. And I got this weird thing where I got a lot of respect for people who are unapologetically themselves. So taking into account that I'm a cunt, I see these open micers, man, and they just keep trying and trying and trying, and nothing gets better. And it just doesn't, it continuously doesn't work. And meanwhile, they'll come up to me at the door, and if there's a show that's too busy to let comedians up, and by the way, to let comedians up, like, here's what it is. If there's a show that's too busy, the comedians like to stand in the back and just have conversations. They just like to talk in the back of the room while the show's going on. And not only is that kind of disrespectful to the venue and the show, But it doesn't do the comics any favors, because the people who are running the scene, kind of, the people who are sort of in charge of maintaining the line, I guess, in the scene as to who's cool and who's not, which sucks that that's a thing, but it's a thing. Like, there's just people who kind of control that stuff. Those people are always coming in and out of these clubs, and especially Sunset, because Sunset has it's famously, Sunset's green room is the most fun green room for all the comics to hang out in, because like people go back there and they play video games, and it's just like it's a thing. People literally who aren't on shows will just show up and be like, hey, I don't want to do spots. I'm just here to play games. And that's literally what it's like. So a lot of comedians are coming in and out. So more so at Sunset than, minus Mothership, more so than Sunset than the other clubs. Excluding Mothership, of course. But people see that. People see these comedians in the back of the room just like having full-blown conversations and distracting other people from the show, and just like not really being respectful to the venue or the show. And they come in and they just walk past me like I'm not even there. They'll just walk by me like they're Anthony Jeselnik or something. And meanwhile, Shane Gillis came by one day and said, "Can I go up?" Shane said, "Can I go up?" Like, it's just all I'm trying to say is that the comedians who know comedy and are good at comedy and have made something for themselves know that there's like just a certain amount of like respect towards the door. You got to respect the door, because whether you know it or not, the door staff at all of these comedy clubs, that's pretty much like the next couple of generations of comics that are going to be like headliners and things like that. You don't want to put bad tastes in their mouth. You never want to be the guy who disrespects the door staff on a regular basis, because it's just not going to end well for you. And there's just too much comfort in just walking by you. And then like there was these comedians last night who were on the show, but I didn't know who they were. And to me, it's just three guys who walk by, and they walk right past me and go straight up the stairs. So I turn around and I stop them. I'm like, "Hey, you guys got tickets to the show?" And they said no. And instead of saying, "Hey man, I'm one of the comics on the show," he just said no. And I said, "Well, we check in down here. Like, you check in here. This is where you get your tickets. I can get your tickets right here." And then he says, "Man, I'm the act. I'm the act. I'm the guy on the show." And I just looked at him and I was like, "What's your name?" And he told me his name, and I threw my hand out. I said, "My name is Yonder." And I went to shake his hand, as if almost to say, hey, buddy, I'm the guy sitting here with a fucking staff shirt on, and you just walk past me. Like, dude, I don't care who you are. I didn't recognize you. Like, I don't know. I have no idea who you are. Not to be a dick, but never heard of you. Never seen your face. I don't know you. And you walk by me like, you just walk by me like absolute disrespect. And like, there's a thing. Throw your fucking fist out. That's all it takes. Like, you walk by, throw the fist out, cool. That I know that's the thing. I know you're cool. But these guys, I had no idea who they were. Derek Poston walked by after that. And I was like, man, these comedians out here they ain't got no respect for the door. Because Derek's an old school Comedy Store door guy. And he's like, oh, no, they don't give a fuck. Like, they do not give a fuck. Everybody's too cool. Everybody's important. Everybody's important. Everybody is famous in their own mind. Everybody is that. And they're like, I don't have to stop. I don't have to show respect to the door. Meanwhile, Shane says, hey, can I go up? And I said that to Derek, and he's like, real recognize real. And that's the truth. Like, it's like, or something along those lines. And it's the truth, man. But that really bothers me. That makes me aggravated that I'm a big respect guy, man. I get it sometimes at the door. There was another thing last night that happened at the door where these 6 dudes came by. And it was like, hey, we got a party of 6. What kind of, what can you work out for us for 6 people? And I was like, the same deal I have for everybody. I was like, we got a code that we can give you that'll save you $5 per ticket. So instead of it being 20 a ticket, it'll be 15 cash per ticket or 18 something card. And then he's like, well, why can't you just give us wristbands? We all go up and we buy drinks. And I mean, that's 6 people. That's 6 people would come into your business, to buy drinks. Why couldn't we do that? And I'm like, well, first off, because these shows are a ticketed event. Sometimes we do have shows we'll let people in for free. If it's super late into the show and it's a light show, sometimes we might let people in for free. But that was not the case at this point last night. And these dudes walked up, and he was like, yeah, so everything I just told you. And I responded, how I told you. I can give you the $5 off. That's the best I can do. And he said, why? Why not? And I said, why do you have to buy tickets? Because every other person who's upstairs bought tickets. Like, not to be a dick, but you are, I don't know who. I have no idea who you are. And everybody upstairs bought tickets. So you guys aren't any better than everybody else who paid for tickets to go up there. So why are you even giving me pushback on this? And the dude said, so you're not going to let us up, and you're not going to let us up, and you guys are going to miss out on all the money that we would spend buying drinks. And I said, no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not letting you up. I'm not going to just give you free wristbands or whatever. And honestly, now that I'm telling the story, I'm remembering that I didn't even say, yeah, I could give you $5 off. In fact, the way that I responded after he said, he was like, can we just go up? Like, what? We'll show you our IDs. You can just give us the wristbands. We'll go up and we'll buy drinks. There's 6 of us. And I'm like, first off, a group of 6, usually bad news at a comedy show. It's good for the drink minimum, but it's bad for a group of people that are thinking that, like a group of people who usually want to talk to each other, or it's a large group, and the more people that are in a group, the more chance there is for them to good Lord, I got some raspy in the back. I did some voice stuff last night in Virtual Red Band that kind of fucked my throat up a little bit. But yeah, like usually they'll want to talk to each other, and the more people in the group, the more likely it is that one of those people will be a problem, that'll get a little too drunk, that will cause issues for the show, that'll heckle the comedian or do something like those are, in my experience, large groups are usually pretty bad for that. So I multiplied that thought by the fact that this dude is at the door trying to haggle me to let his group in. And I'm weird about doing my job like that. Like, so now that I was telling the story, I remembered that him saying, so what's the best deal? So what kind of deal can you do for us? Can you just let us up for free and let us drink? And I said, no. With no explanation, I just said no. And then he says, well, why? And I said, well, because everybody else up there already bought tickets. And, like, I'm not, like, I don't, like, you're not the only group of 6 that's up there. There's a group of 5. There's a group of 4. There's all of these different groups of people who all bought tickets that went up there, and they're also buying drinks. So, like, pretty much, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, why are you different than those people? And he was pretty much like, so there's absolutely no deal that, so there's no deal, nothing can be done, no good. He gave me the Larry David, no good. And I was like, no. Like I said, I would have normally been able to give you guys $5 off each ticket. But, like, now I don't even want to, like, now I would honestly rather not do that because, I mean, you just came up here and you're trying to go up for free, and I don't. And to be perfectly honest, we probably could have used 6 people in the room. We might, I mean, we could have, those 2 shows were fine. But either way, I mean, it would have been nice to have 6 people up, 6 different people up there. But because I sit out on the sidewalk and I'll see these guys walk by, and the guy was wearing a onesie. He was wearing like a fucking romper. He was wearing a romper. Not even joking. I don't know how I waited till this point in the conversation to bring that up. Like I should have led the story with that. But now that I've said romper, you guys might have been thinking, well, maybe you could have let him up. But now you're probably like, oh yeah, that was the right move. The dude was wearing a romper that was, it looked like skin. It looked like a hairy man. Like it would just look like it was a romper, but it just looked like a hairy man. And it was like, and the rest of the people in the group were just kind of looking at me, and he's the one leading the charge. Hey, we got a lot of people say, just give us wristbands for free and we'll go up and drink. Almost as if telling me what I'm going to do. And man, if you want to get on a side of me that, if you want to get on a bad side of me, you come out of the gate and try to tell me what I'm going to do, because that's the quickest way to get me to not do something. I really have a hard time doing something someone is obviously trying to get me to do. That's a Ron Swanson thing for you. I have a real hard time. But it was almost as if he was like saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We'll go up, buy drinks, yada, yada, yada. And I blatantly said no. Told him that I would have normally given them $5 off, but now I'm not even gonna do that because they already tried to pull one over on me, basically. And he was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just go spend a bunch of money somewhere else then. And I said, that's a good idea. And then he turned around and walked away, and then kind of everybody in the guy's group kind of looked at me and was like, I'm sorry. Almost as if like, hey, this guy's got a tiny dick, So he has to lead the charge in the group so that he feels some sort of masculinity, so that he feels sort of like he is relevant in the world, maybe. Like, so he is trying to compensate for something. Little man Napoleon syndrome, is that what it's called? The Napoleon thing. But and I might be a little too strict, and most people will be like, dude, it's a comedy show. Why do you take this shit so seriously? Because I take jobs seriously. Because I take my work seriously. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit straighter. I've been looking at the camera, and it was just like, but yeah, like I take jobs seriously. I take work seriously. I talk about it all the time with my coworkers that like, I know I'm working with a lot of people who are in their early 20s and I'm in my late 30s. So I worked real jobs before I did the door guy thing. I worked real jobs. And I'm working with a lot of people who have never worked a real job in their life. And that's fine. It's fine to not work a real job, but if to not have worked a real job before, but when you come into a situation like we're in, you don't get to just not do the job because you haven't ever done it before. You still got to do it. But I take it seriously. And I take a lot of things seriously, and I kind of hold other people to that level of seriousness that I take it. So I kind of I make it a point to like let people know. Look, I even if someone is giving me blowback about not having their ID, I'm like, guys, I understand. I know that you're of age. I can see that you are. But unfortunately for you, I'm a little bit autistic when it comes to doing my job, and I've been given a task. And once someone gives me a task, I've got to complete that task no matter who is in the way of it. Like, I've kicked people out of the bar before because someone has said, clear the room, get everyone out of here. We want everybody gone. And I've kicked people out that honestly probably were guests of management. But because I got a little blowback, I was like, hey, guys, we got to clear the room. And then somebody goes, I'm not leaving. And I'm like, well, yes, fuck you are. Now you're definitely leaving. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry, but like if you don't understand how my brain works, you don't know that I've been given a duty to complete. And until I complete that duty, everything is going to fucking crumble inside of me until I can finish this thing that I've been charged with. So I'm like, yeah, fuck, you're going to leave now for sure. Like, I might have let you talk me out of it or be like, hey, blah, 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 told me that I could hang around. They told me to stay and wait for them. Like, okay, that's fine. But don't just lead with, I'm not fucking leaving. Because now you're definitely leaving. That really pisses, that was a specific thing that happened that really pissed me off. Because it was somebody who should not be disrespecting anybody. Somebody who's in no position to disrespect somebody, but because they feel like they have a connection with someone of power, they feel like they can get away with doing whatever the fuck they want. But man, in my opinion, those people, all right, we're going to go down a rabbit hole right now, dude. There are people who are friends and close friends with like people of power in the comedy scene or people of stature, I guess. I don't know. Power is probably as good a word as any. Despite, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Despite whether or not people deserve power or not, they have it for whatever reason. And because people are connected to them, they feel like they get away with everything. Like they use it as like a pass. Oh, I got made. Now I can just live outside of the norm that everyone else has to conform to. I don't have to conform to that. And I'm not acting like I'm not victim to that as well. Shit, sometimes I'll go and like, because I can sometimes, all right. I'm trying to like say things without saying too much, and that's, I think fast and I talk fast when I'm thinking. So I'm trying to like in real time figure out how I can say what I'm trying to say without like giving too much away. I don't like to sit around and wait to go up on Kill Tony. It's draining to me to be away from my house, period. But to then just be surrounded with people who think, oh, I just got to get on Kill Tony one time and then I'm going to be famous and then it's going to change my life and everything. And when I have those same thoughts too, but I've already been there. I've already done the Kill Tony thing. Like I've gotten to a certain level of notoriety, and but other people who are just like, yeah, man, this is just I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna change my life. And I've heard people literally say that before, and then I've watched their Kill Tony appearance, and it changed their life for sure, but not in the way they thought it would. But the point that I'm really trying to circle back to is that certain people will see, oh, I'm friends with a powerful person, so I can get away with everything. Where the way I look at it is, if you are friends with a powerful person, that means that you have more of a responsibility to not try to get away with everything. You have more of a responsibility to do good things and be easy to deal with. And just, like, it's not like I'm saying, hey, get the fuck out. I'm saying, hey, guys, I'm sorry I have to do it, but I got to get everybody out of here. Like, I'm being nice about how I'm saying it. And then whenever I get blowback, like, hey, I'm not leaving, then, yeah, you are. Now you're definitely fucking leaving. And I don't care who you are. I don't care who you're friends with. I don't care that you're, you have important people that you spend time with. I don't care. So do I. I also have important people that I spend time with. But I don't use the fact that I know. Case in point. And here, I can drop these names. Here, case in point. Dude, like, I have an open invitation to kind of hang out at Mitzi's. I have an open invitation to, like, kind of hang out at Mothership at Mitzi's after hours when everybody else is not allowed in anymore. Like, I can do that. Like, it's no problem. And, like, Red Band has said, yeah, come hang out with us. Like, for sure. Red Band said that. Holtzman, I'm actually going to lunch with Holtzman tomorrow. But, like, I never do that, though, because I know there's so many people that just weasel their way in there. And then whenever you get inside, I'm just looking around at all of these people, and I know that the ones that matter will see me in there, and they'll be excited to see me, and they'll know that I'm in there by invite and not because I weaseled my way in. But because I'm a crazy person, I know there's certain people in that room that'll look at me and say, what is he doing in here? And even though those people don't matter, and even if they do matter, they just don't know who I am. The people that, the other people that matter will usually vouch for me and be like, oh, that's Yonder. We know him. He worked at Vulcan during all the Rogan shows back in the day and all the Kill Tonys he's been on. They'll know that. They'll give them the rundown and vouch for me. But because I know there's a couple of people that'll be like, who is this face that I don't see in here ever? Why is he here? I know that there's certain people that might think that. So because of that, I never go into those places. And I know that I'm just a crazy person. So I'm not trying to put my crazy on someone else. But it's just a thing that I notice, and it's a huge turnoff for me to a person. I get really turned off to a person when I find out that they are just entitled and feel that by no merit or no work deserve more than other people. If I say that I deserve more than someone else, it is because I've worked harder, or I've put in more work, I've put in more effort, I've done these things. And then alone am I like, I deserve to be here. Like, you're not going to snuff me out. I'm going to stay here. Then I will. But when it's just because you know somebody, because you're connected to someone in some fucked up, a profane way, like, I'm not going to suffer that. And I nor do I feel like I should. But, and I know I take these things too seriously, but I've already established that's just who I am. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I will say that in the same breath, there have been times where people who are people of note will come by, and I'll just be like, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but they've told me I can't let anybody up today." And they'll be like, oh, okay, no problem. And then they just move on with their lives. And then I will send them a message later and be like, hey, I'm really sorry that I had to do this. They were just giving me pressure from upstairs that I'm not supposed to let anybody in, and I'm sorry. I do a good job with that. And I just want you to know that I didn't mean anything personal. It was just a thing. And I've literally done that. I've had that conversation with people before, because I've not been able to let comedians that I would always let up go up. But then I got yelled at one day for letting one person up that I guess I wasn't supposed to. And then I got, like, they gave me stink eye. I got the stink eye from somebody. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you want from me, dude. Like, they walked up with a comedian that I'm supposed to allow up under all circumstances. Under no circumstance do I say no to this comedian. And they walk. What am I going to say to them? Like, you don't get a +1? Like, I'm sorry that you are upset with me about this, but, like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. But that's happened before. Like, I've literally gotten, like, kind of reprimanded because I've let someone up that I wasn't supposed to. And then the next person that came by is like a comedian that is like way above the person that gets to go in no matter what. No questions asked, that always gets to go in. This other person is like way higher than them. But because I was said, hey, don't let anybody else up. 0 people get to come in now. 0 more people get to come in. Like literally in the group chat was like, hey, if it's not Joey Diaz, do not let them up. Joey was in town that week, but he didn't come. If it's not Joey Diaz, they do not get to come up. And comedian walked by and was trying to go upstairs, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I can't let you up right now. And I have 0 problem at all telling someone they can't, like telling like the micers or anything like that, or any other comedian, like, hey, we're not letting anybody up right yet, or we're not letting anybody up for this show. I have no problem doing that, but it really bothers me when I can't let someone who I respect up. That makes me sad. But what can you do? I didn't mean to just go on a rant about people I can let up and can't let up at work. I think I want to talk about those things on this podcast a lot, because I don't think that people understand my process on that, and I think a lot of people might harbor some sort of resentment towards me because they've been on the wrong end of that I can't let you up thing, and they might think that it's something personal when it isn't. Sometimes it is personal. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes it's personal when I don't let somebody up. If it's somebody who just blows past me all the time, or like just comes by and just tries to disrespect me or the door guy as a position, like, yeah, I might not let you up just because you disrespected me. Other people can, but I might not. I'm big on respect, man. I'm really big on respect, and I give everybody on earth gets the same high level of respect from me until they disrespect me. And unfortunately for the world, there's a lot of ways to disrespect me. And once that monster reveals its ugly head, like, you're done. Mentally, for me, you're done. Like, once I lose respect for somebody, it is a very, very difficult thing for them to regain my respect, because I give it so willingly. I start everybody at the top. Me and my boy Marcus talk about this. I start everybody at the top. He starts everybody at the bottom. He starts everybody down here. You have to earn his respect from down here, but not me. I respect everybody that I meet or everybody that I'm introduced to at the top. I start out way up there at the top, and they can lose respect points with me. But I think because of that, it's just easy for me to write somebody off, because I'm like, you don't understand what I offered you. You don't understand that, like, I offered you my acceptance. And as narcissistic as that sounds for me to say, my acceptance is something that should be sought after. And I know that sounds like a narcissistic thing to say, and I don't really care, but, like, my acceptance is something that people should work towards. Because I just have this, I don't know, man. I got this, I just have this thing about being a good person, and like moralistically, and in your morals, doing the right thing and being a good person, and and taking other people's experiences into account, which is one thing that I do feel bad about how I've been acting the last couple months, is I've been selfishly talking about my problems to other people, but I have no problem admitting that I've done that. So what can you do? But yeah, man, you gotta. I feel like because I offer everyone that level of respect right out of the gate, that if they don't reciprocate, then I'm out. I'm done, and I don't care to ever get back in. I don't need you. Like, my life, I feel like my story has already, like, my story's already been written, and I'm going where I'm going anyway. I don't need any of these people to help me get there. And once I lose that respect, man, it's hard for me to look at someone a different way going forward. It's really, I can't just come out and, oh, you know what? I'm going to really try. And there has been times when I've lost respect for somebody, but then depending on their honesty or their level of, how they respond to losing my respect determines whether or not they get it back. And dude, there's a lot of people that I've lost a lot of respect for that are in this area, and they probably don't even know it. They probably don't even know that they've lost my respect, but they have, and they won't get it back. But there's been a couple who have gotten it back. It's just like, hey man, I don't really respect this thing, but then I'll come to this conclusion that, like, you know, this person is really doing their best, and this is just who they are unapologetically. So, like, you know, I guess I can't really feel bad about that. Like, if these guys are just unapologetically themselves, and they're just owning it. That's what it is. Like, there's like, if somebody's like, yeah, hey, I'm selfish, I know it. Yeah. Oh, I'm an asshole. Of course I'm an asshole. Everybody knows I'm an asshole. What do you mean? Like, yeah, duh. But if it's somebody who is, like, trying to just be, like, sweet and nice and all of this, and just, like, being a completely different person on the inside, and their actions are completely different, then that I can't respect. I have zero respect for someone who is so fake that they don't care. And they don't care that other people are going to see that it's fake. They're trying to fake their way through everything. And there's so many people who have faked their way into positions that would shock you. But at the end of the day, I got too much respect for myself to be able to lay on this pillow over here at night and think I don't deserve to be where I'm at, and know that I don't deserve to be where I'm at. I deserve to be places that I'm not already. And still, whenever I get something, I start to think, wow, did I deserve this? I've been getting a lot better about that lately, because I've been getting some of the things that I deserve. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't get even close to the things that I deserve. But here I am, still grinding, still doing my best, And by me grinding, as I work, like working at the comedy club, working at Sunset, that's me grinding, dude. I didn't have a job for like a decade pretty much. All I did was play music, like full time. That was my gig. My whole livelihood was just playing gigs, doing music. And that's about a 3 to 4 hour job a night. So 3 to 4 hours a night for a decade, and then I'm coming into this new struggle. And I was making really good money doing the music. I'm coming in this new struggle that I haven't experienced in a very long time when I moved to Austin, just like making a lot less money, like getting a paycheck where in 2 weeks I make what I would make in about 2 gigs back home, 2 to 3 gigs. Like, yeah, 2 or 3 gigs back home would be a 2-week paycheck right now. And like, so I could literally make in a week back home, I could make what it takes me a month to make here. Maybe more. Maybe more than a month. But yeah, man, it's difficult for me to articulate these things without going into stories about specific people or specific things, because that's what I want to do. And like I vent to a lot of people who go through the same thing, but it's like, and by the way, I think there's a difference in venting and talking shit. Maybe there isn't. Maybe I'm gaslighting myself into thinking there is. But I believe there's a big difference in venting and talking shit about somebody. Because if I'm out here, I'm not out here dropping names on a podcast, throwing specific people under the bus, and just talking shit about somebody specifically that you guys don't know personally or whatever. But I will definitely talk to people about, I'll 1000% talk to people that know the person I'm talking about, just to be like, hey, am I crazy here? Because that's my biggest fear, is being crazy. That's my biggest fear growing up was, oh no, am I a crazy person? Am I shit? Am I a psychopath? Am I crazy? Fuck. It's always been my thought. So I always say, hey, am I crazy for this? And then I'll explain my situation, and I'll be like, and please be honest, because I do allow my brain really does like run with things sometimes, but how closely I assess a situation historically has pretty much eliminated the leash from letting my mind run. You know what I mean? To more specifically, I'll say that, like, most of the time my gut feeling is correct. Most of the time my first feeling, and that's like a high, and statistically that is like in the high 90s. My gut is almost always correct. The initial feeling that I get is almost always the right one. But in situations when I start to feel resistance from the universe about a thing that I'm feeling, I will then take that to somebody and say, hey, can you kind of verify or validate something for me? Or invalidate. I'm fine either way. Like, I'll come to terms with the fact that, like, maybe I'm wrong here. And in the situations that's been going on over the last few months, I've been having these little conversations, and I've started to learn that I'm not the only one that feels the way that I feel. And when I learn that, I start to think, okay, well, I'm definitely not incorrect. I'm definitely not incorrect to feel how I feel. So that's not an issue anymore. But it makes me like I have to do more research. I need more evidence on things. So I'll start to ask more questions, and I'll start to see how other people feel about my stance in the situation. But I kind of have a clever way of presenting it. I kind of have a clever way of presenting things to where I'm not saying, okay, this is the situation that I'm going through, and this is how I feel about it. Am I right or wrong to feel this way? That's not how I present things. I always like figure out a way to do an analogy. I figure out a way to talk an analogy. And sometimes I'll be asking for someone's advice on something, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I will present something to somebody in a way that is me asking them about an issue that I'm going through in my own life, but instead of telling them my issue, I just say, what would you do if X, Y, and Z happened to you? What would be your reaction to something like that? And usually if you give someone a prompt, it is going to invoke a certain excitement in them to answer, and that excitement will more likely than not overshadow the fact that you're kind of asking them about something different. Like, because I've had people who are just overly, like, just really intelligent people who, whenever I ask them a thing like that, they'll interpret my question immediately to me and say, okay, so is this what you're asking? So is this is this what you're, so someone is doing this to you, and like, they'll immediately do that sometimes. But for the most part, I get really nice unfiltered feedback from people about things. And I guess, I don't know, maybe whatever it sounds like, I don't care. I'm overwhelmingly in the right on just about every way that I feel. Often. Shockingly often. Like, overwhelmingly often do I find myself on the right side of a situation. And because that has happened so often, I know that Adam used to say that Adam in the band, when we would have band arguments and stuff like that, he'd be like, you're a dick, but you right a lot. And I know that was it. That was a hard reality for other people in my life at that time in the band. But, like, not to bring up old shit, but I didn't always go about it the best way, which I still don't. But I haven't been wrong a lot in a lot of my feelings on things. So that fact has kind of led me to really trust my opinion on situations without resistance. And I realize that might not be great. That might not be the best thing. That might not be the best thing, but it's also just kind of it's like I got this thing figured out. I got it figured out in my mind, and I know exactly how it is. And usually I'm right out of the gate. Usually I can read somebody and I know exactly who they are within the first couple of times that I hang out with them, or the first couple of like things that I'll and I never will let someone say something to me about someone else that I'm like, hey, I know what you're saying. I have a different relationship with this person. So like I don't have those issues that you have. Maybe consider this. And then I'll help someone else work out a problem that they might have with somebody else, which happens often. People stop by the door all the time to talk to me. I have side quest energy. It's a thing. People feel the need to stop and talk to me quite often, and I end up hearing a lot of other people's problems, and sometimes those problems will come with a couple of names of someone that I know, and I'm just like, hey, I know how you feel about this person, but I don't have the same feelings about them because they've always been very nice to me. They're nothing but nice. They have, they have their own thing going with everybody else or whatever, but I can't speak to that because like they've always been very nice to me. And I know that I have a different relationship with just about everybody than everybody else. Just, I don't know how or why I've landed in this situation, but I don't have the same relationship with a lot of those people that everybody else does. And to that, I mean, other people might say, "Oh, this person is an absolute dick. They're just mean. They say mean things to people, and they're very cruel sometimes." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen that happen before. I've seen them do it to other people, but they've never done it to me." And to be honest, like they have their own way, but they're unapologetically themselves. And moralistically, I have this thing to where I kind of forgive that. If they don't try to hide what they are and they're just that, like for instance, you don't like Steve Irwin said, people like alligators or crocodiles are easy. They're going to try to kill and eat you. But people you have to watch for because they'll try to be your friend first. And that's a thing, man. That's a real thing. Like the crocodile shouldn't apologize for being the crocodile. We know it's going to kill and eat because that's what crocodiles do. So once you take that fact and apply that to people who, and everybody's like, oh, people can reason. They have the ability to see that. I mean, who knows that alligators don't? Who knows that they don't? We're not alligators. We don't fucking know. Scientists can only explain so much. They don't know what's going on inside the brain of these creatures. They've been around so much longer than we have. They're probably more intelligent than we are. Than in just ways that we don't measure intelligence. Like we measure intelligence in the ways of like that the human can understand. But animalistic intelligence could be like way, way far beyond anything that we can comprehend. So we don't know. We don't know that they're taking. But the point that I'm getting at, none of that shit matters. The point that I'm making here is that if you know someone is a certain way and you know what to expect from them, then it's like, oh man, that's just who they are. And I mean, but they don't hide who they are. It's not like they're out here trying to be the sweetest person on earth and then just sort of, but I've said that already in this thing, so I'm not going to repeat myself, which I've repeated myself 1,000 times. But it's just I forgive people for being who they are unapologetically, no matter what that is. I got respect for someone who knows who they are, who's that true to themselves and just is fully, they're that sure of who they are. First yawn of the day. It's Sunday, by the way. I usually record these on Saturday night after work, but last night we did virtual red band, and at the end of that I ended up watching an episode of The Rings of Power on Prime, which, I mean, it's not the best show on earth. I'm going to turn this fan off. It's getting chilly. It's not the greatest show on earth, but I like Lord of the Rings, and I enjoy the continuation of a story as much as the next guy. And I don't even really care if it's that. I don't care how good it is. I just want a continuation of a story, you know? But yeah, I watched that last night instead of recording the podcast. I ate some chicken thighs, and I made some rice, and I made gravy from the drippings of the chicken thighs. And I ate all of that right before I would have been recording. So I'm just like, my body's digesting, and I'm just not in it. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. So I said, I got all day tomorrow off. I'll just do the podcast then. But now, as soon as I get done, I've got to edit this. So I'm going to keep this one a little shorter than the other ones have been, since I'm recording and editing in the same day. But yeah, I did circle back to that thing. I have very little respect for someone who tries to pretend they're something that they absolutely are not. And I cannot be gaslit into believing someone is something that they're not, because I have these morals that I've got. And like I said, my track record is kind of in my favor. And by kind of, my track record is aggressively in my favor on this. That, like, and that's the point I was getting at way earlier. That my respect is something that people should seek out, because of this track record that I've had pretty much a very, very long time. And because I can, like, read people kind of almost immediately to a pretty accurate description of who they really are underneath it all, I'm pretty sure that, like, that's the sort of thing that people should maybe respect that a little bit, maybe have maybe drop a little bit of respect on my ability to know who you are, and don't resist that. Don't resist the fact that I'm seeing exactly who someone is, no matter what they're trying to show everyone else. And it's almost a superpower. It really is. And I kind of feel like it sometimes, that, like, do I have that? Is that what I have? Is it a superpower? Because I feel like it is sometimes. Just being like that, being able to, I don't know, being able to spot something that quick in a person that seems superpower-esque. Because in that case, you can really avoid a lot of like hardships in your life. You can avoid a lot of bullshit. And that's my goal at this point, man. I've already lived a bullshit life. Note episode 1. Kind of over the bullshit at this point. I just kind of want straightforward, cut and dry, no him and hawing around, just fucking give it to me straight. But people have a problem with doing that. And whenever people have a problem with giving something to me straight, I'm going to have a problem with giving something to them straight. I'm also a mirror. I'm very good at treating people how they treat me. I'm very good at that. Yeah. I didn't mean to do. I guess I start these things without any plan, and I'll just kind of, I've said it, I'll just do word salad until something starts to come out, and then I'll start to realize, oh, this is the thing that's bothering me. This is the thing, the garbage that I need to take out of my mind. And I think I hit that mark. And I think I figured out exactly what it was I needed to get out. And in doing so, I don't feel better right now, though. I don't feel better about any of the situations that I'm in because I've had that realization. In fact, I might even feel worse about it because after talking about it, I feel that there are things that I didn't take into account that I should have. But because I didn't, I guess I can't count it towards the original argument. So now it's a new thing. And there's nothing more unpredictable than a new revelation of who someone is. Anyway, I'm gonna defile myself completely. Anyway, I don't even know where I started. And maybe if I have to bring this all back together to make one large point in this, I guess that point has to be because I've been like gotten confirmation that a lot of the ways that I feel are validated and correct. And by a lot, I don't mean all. I mean a high percentage. And by a high percentage, I mean probably in the 90s. And because I have been confirmed in all of a lot of those situations historically, I really trust my feelings. I really trust my gut about situations, about people, about things, almost to the point where I've removed the filter. So I feel those things immediately and believe them without any reservation or any resistance. And that's the thing that I can't really turn off. So if I act a little too passionately about some of the things that I believe or some of the things that I feel, that's why. And that's where this is coming from. So if there's one thing that you take from this episode, take that. That I know that these things that I think are unreasonable sometimes, and these things that I feel, and especially the way that I talk about these things that I feel or think, I know they're unreasonable, but you have to understand where I come from is that I've been in these situations many times before. And in those times, I've pretty much been right about my assessment far too often. So forgive me for that, I guess. But if you don't, do I really care? Not really. Kind of. I care a little bit, but I don't really care. It's just that kind of fake care that you have to pretend. But the truth is like I use it as my way of weeding out people from my life that aren't going to help me reach my goal. And some of them might help me reach a goal, but maybe it's not the goal that I want, and maybe it's not the goal, or maybe that goal is not for you to help me get to. Maybe if I get to that goal and you're going to try to, latch yourself onto me as well. Like I'm not about that life, dude. I've seen people's behavior and how people latch themselves on to other people. And, it's just a disgusting thing, man. Like you have to be invited to be part of circles. You can't just invite yourself into a circle. That's not how this works, man. You have to earn your right to be part of the circle. And when you earn your right, and some people buy their right. Some people buy their right into a circle, and that's equally disgusting. But when you earn your right to be part of a circle, like when someone notices you and says, "Hey, I like you. I want you to hang out with me." Then you're actually part of it. But if you've bought your way in, or you weaseled your way in, or you've like done this and that to end up getting where you are, it's not real. And if you take away the thing that got you into the circle to start with, then who are you? If it's an item, if it's like money, or if it's a product or a necessity, some sort of thing like that where you use like, hey, I've got this thing. Can I be part of this circle if I bring this thing with me? Yeah, sure. When you stop bringing that thing, then are you really going to be in the circle anymore? Have you thought about that? Or if you have weaseled your way in, and once everybody realizes, oh, this is a weasel, it looks like us and it's been moving like us, but underneath it all, it's just a dirty, nasty little weasel that weaseled its way in. Once that is revealed, everybody's going to see it. But if you're a good person and you do everything that you can to be a good person, and you try to help people out for no personal gain, you just want to do nice things for people without telling anybody or without anybody knowing that you did it, and you get invited to be part of the circle, the thing that got you invited to be part of that circle will also get you invited to be part of other circles. So just showing up and faking your way through everything is not the way to live. And once the veil is lifted from everyone's eyes, and one thing I know about veils, they always get lifted. Once the veil gets lifted and everybody sees who these people are, who these people actually are, then they're not going to be relevant anymore in the circle. And the circle is going to do to them exactly what they deserve. And that is totally not allow them to be part anymore. And that's all there is to it. And because people will always be fake and sneaking their way into these circles, I'll hold back. I'll stand over to the side. I'm still in the circle. I'm just watching it from over here. And I'll watch and I'll see those other people maneuver their ways through. It's a thing. Anyway. Yeah. I've already tried to give you guys three. This will be the third time that I've tried to give a big synopsis of this whole episode. If there's one thing that you can take away, I guess, be real. Be 100% real. Don't be fake. Be yourself. Don't try to make people think that you're something that you're not, because it's obvious that you're not the thing you're trying to make people believe that you are. Like, just be honest. Be honest with yourself first. People, a lie starts to yourself. Don't be a liar. That's all that is that's being a liar. Don't be fake. Don't be dishonest. Don't be a liar. Don't lie. Be who you are. Unapologetically. And I'm telling you, people out there in the world will accept you. Even if you're a shitty person. Even if you're a shitty person, people will accept you if you own the fact that you're shitty. Just know it about yourself. Do a little soul searching. Find out who you are. Be that person. People will accept you. Is that even what we were talking about? Who knows anymore? Anyway, I'm not going to hold you guys up anymore. Go ahead and get on with your lives. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we go live. Please download the podcast anywhere podcasts are available. Now, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of the places where you can get podcasts. Go download, go leave a review, follow us everywhere you can, podcast-wise, and share these things. I'd appreciate it if you would. That helps me out a lot. It helps the algorithm a lot to see that people are sharing it in different places. Yep. So that's that. You guys obviously have noticed that we're releasing this thing on a different day now. After this, the first two on Monday morning, we're dropping these at a more reasonable time on a Tuesday now, because there's not a whole hell of a lot going on Tuesdays. So here we are. Anyway, guys, be good people. Thank you so much for letting me ramble at you for the last hour and a half. And hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you didn't, we'll try again next week and try to get you then. But I do invite you, please come back next week, because I'm going to try to record next Saturday again so that I'm still fresh and not just on a Sunday lazy. This is a lazy day for me, so yeah, I'm going to try to be more alert, winding down from work next Saturday. So hopefully that one will be a banger of an episode. If I had to rank this one, I'd probably say this is maybe a 6. Episode 1 was up there. Episode 2 was pretty up there. This was probably like a 6. But what can you do? This is a Dale Earnhardt episode. Number 3. I owed him better. I should have done better for him. All right, guys. Roll Tide. Be good people. Night-night.